Hey, my family, this is your sister Truth Seeker back on here doing my show review thing. And this season, I'm starting my review of a new show on the Oxygen channel called Preachers of LA. You guys, I'm telling you, I'm gonna put a beware sign on this, but I'm telling you, don't send me no inbox. Listen. For all those who know me already and from my previous reviews, you guys know how I do. I'm no holds barred. This is from the truth, from the book of my mind, okay? You put your opinions down there, feel free. But honey, I'm going to give it. So that's just a warning. You may not like me. You may unfriend me, honey, but it's going to be given on today, okay? So you just sit back, get you some popcorn, get you something to drink, wet your whistle and just relax, because honey, this review is getting ready to get crazy. So like to hear it, here it go. Okay, so this show is centered around several pastors, and just seeing a behind the scenes look into these prosperity pastors and how they live and their philosophy of living prosperous. Okay, so first the show opens up with Minister Dietrich Haddon. If you don't know him, he's a gospel artist turned minister, and he's incorporating his artistry in the ministry. So definitely very interesting, how he acts. Very Devo, I must say. But anyway, he opened up with saying that there was some infidelity in his marriage, and just giving his testimony, and saying that when he found out that a woman named Dominique, who is now his fiance, was pregnant. First of all, I'm not really hearing any direct admission, that he did these things. He just said it in a kind of a way that was like, how kids be like, oh mama, I broke the lamp. Oh no, the lamp broke, is what the kids say. Okay, and you're like, okay, Tanisha, how did the lamp broke? No, you broke it. Just say that's what you did. Don't just like it happened. But anyway, my 12-year-old was watching with me, and she was like, in one of the scenes where Dietrich Haddon was interacting at a piano in the opening with his baby's mother and everything. And my daughter said, don't nobody care about the little baby that's just crawling around on the floor, while they're all hugged up on the piano bench. She said, I just didn't want to say nothing, that I thought that was noteworthy. That was a Prophetess Taylor moment and everything I wanted to share with you guys. But, kids are watching, they're looking, and seeing this. But anyway, the next pastor was Pastor Ron Gibson. He came up next with his testimony of being hooked on PCP at one point, and he ended up getting back on track. He said he was going into the hood in the Compton, because that's where he's from. He's like an OG, triple OG, basically with these little young boys today, with the little pants sagging and, with the hippity hop. When they grow up, this is what they kind of give you a trip into the future of what they going to be like, if they turn Christ, is my opinion of Pastor Ron Gibson. He's got some hood gangster pastor in him. Okay, so anyway, he said he was going to Compton to see a young man named Lil JR, and he was taking Jesus and a Glock with him because he was concerned about his safety. But he said, I'm gonna take Jesus and his Glock. Okay, so he had some weaponry going on, when he was going to visit the hood. That was very interesting. Okay, so anyway, he also mentioned to his wife about him later on having what he calls a man cave meeting. That's with other pastor men, where they all gather together at his house, one of his old houses, and they bond and they kick it, man cave. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I wanted to see what was going on in there behind the veil. So that's later to come. So moving on, the next pastor is Pastor Joel Noel Jones, and he introduced us to his, as he called her, his friend. And they were arguing at a table as if they were already married for like 34 years or something. Like they were just like teenagers, you know, even going back and forth. You don't love me, and I don't love you as much as you think I love you. And they were just going back. And I'm just looking like, you guys are like really too old to be kind of going back and forth with this. And you're not even married. At least if you're going to go back and forth like that, you know, be married. Get some 7 years in Tibet up under your belt of marriage. Okay. It was too much. It was too much, you know, for them to be doing that. And she's just his friend. You know, he says that she's not his girlfriend. She's just a friend for 16 years. And I'm just like, you know, I could tell they were kind of playing it up for the cameras, but you know, come on, 16 years. You know, he strikes me as, you know, being very full of himself. You know, he told her that he was a prize, you know, to be won, you know. Then in the next scene, he spoke about being alone and being single after being divorced for 20 years. And he said, you know, what pastor doesn't have women sticking numbers in his hand, and you know, how much he likes living the high life of being successful and going to dinners. You know, he strikes me as being like, you know, the pimp pastor. You know, he's pimp, you know, type of pastor. He liked the ladies, you know. I really, you guys, I call this show, you know, this segment, season 1, episode 1, Jesus Take the Wheel. Because seriously, yeah, it was crazy. So anyway, the next scene, Dietrich Haddon arrived at his fiancee Dominique's house. And once again, Dominique is his child's mother. He was actually married when he met her, and he was having an affair with her, and she ended up getting pregnant. And he had to step down as a pastor at his church because of the scandal of it all, you know. And so now, you know, she's like pressuring him to get married, you know, because she wants to do the right thing, you know. Okay, I just kind of think that it's kind of giving sad chicks, you know, a little too much hope. You know, I think she represents the sad chick, and that is giving some type of ray of hope that a woman can mess with another woman's husband, or know that a man is married, you know, not even divorced yet, and think that she could come in and, you know, take over the goods, you know, of what that previous wife then set up and, you know, had going on, and it got working like a well-oiled machine. You know, I don't have any respect for women like that. I'm sorry. I just don't. I'm not fond of the sad chicks. But anyway, so the next scene, Dietrich arrives at her house. She's living with her mom and her baby, and she spoke and said that her and Dietrich doesn't live together for, quote, religious reasons. They feel that it would be shacking up would be wrong and against God, you know. He was cheating with Dominique's mother. I'm sorry. He was chatting with Dominique's mother about starting a new business venture to bring in some extra income for himself and his daughter. You know, cute little girl, cute little baby. Not the baby's fault at all, what was going on. But Dietrich Haddon actually in the next scene was at church directing his backup singers and acting like a real prima donna, you know, a real divo in my opinion. He's just, you know, being very curt with them, you know, in his directives to them. And he was just this pop superstar, you know. He was just telling them, oh, you're not, you know, doing a good enough job, you know. I'm just like, okay, Dietrich, you at 10, I need you at about a 4. You know, -2. But anyway, then the pastor next we were introduced to was Jay Heiser. Now he's looking like this. He's this white guy, and he's looking like this skateboard kids pastor. Okay, he told a little bit of his testimony of how in the past time he was a drug addict, and his wife's name is First Lady Christie, and she seemed like she's nice, you know, and she says she's trying to balance being a wife and a mother and, you know, a pastor's wife. There is a difference, you know, it's a job and a responsibility there. So when she said that, I felt her, you know, she seemed real nice. But they seem like the most the calmest couple, you know, out of the group so far. But moving on to this other pastor, you know, and it's just way too many pastors. I just want to say that first and foremost, to be trying to keep up with, you know, all of these, you know, pastors. I feel like they could, you know, make some cuts, some beef cuts from a couple of them. That pastor being one of them. You know, I understand, you know, they probably want some diversity, you know, put some color, you know, white person in there for the white community to be able to identify with, you know, one of their pastors. But it's just too many pastors, you know. But anyway, then we're introduced to Pastor Cheney. Okay. And his wife and him, they're showing us that they were more of the sexual couple of the group. You know, now here we go. And I'm rolling my eyes, you know. They believe in being saved, sanctified, and sexual. I just felt a little, yeah, in my throat and everything, in my belly. Got the sour belly because I don't want to know what's going on in my pastor's bedroom. You know, keep that in the closet. You know, that's not for us to be all up in your bedroom regions and in bedroom business. You know, this is not, you know, bed, bath, bedroom, and beyond, you know, segment. This is about how you're pastoring, and, you know, I just don't want to know what's going on in my pastor's bedroom. Keep it in the closet. Okay. Then, finally, after about 27 pastors, we have the last pastor. One, and honey, no doubt the messiest one I'm predicting for this season. He's just a mess, a hot, messy mess. Okay. His name is Bishop Clarence McClendon. Okay. We open up with his wife, First Lady Priscilla, actually receiving and reading an email from a woman who in the email is calling herself Mrs. McClendon, you know, the pastor's wife, and calling their kids, you know, her kids. And from my understanding, this has happened before, because she was like, oh, he asked her, Pastor McClendon said, is it this lady, you know, a new lady, or the same lady from such and such state? And she's like, oh, this is a new lady, you know. And I'm just like, what part of the, you know, church pastor game is that you got these groupies, you know, like making threats and emailing and calling themselves on some single white female, you know, obsession? Basic, it's just too much. I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, when you have so-called groupies like that, or people like that that's obsessed with you to that point, there's a spirit, okay, in that you're invoking and provoking, okay, from within yourself out. They're attracted to that. You're manifesting that, you know, because he appears to be very full of himself, you know, very, you know, just, he looked like some sort of R&B singer, pastor or something, you know. They filming him and he getting out his car and he just in slow motion and just, you know, posing. And I don't know what's going on with all this posing and carrying on, but they need to stop. Y'all need to watch this and really see what's going on. I'm not promoting it like, oh, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm saying you need to know what's going on, because my grandmother actually told me, she said, because I had did a review on the sisters, you know, or, you know, about the preachers' wives the other season, the sisterhood. And I was going to stop watching it after like the first or second episode, because it was just like, it was teen too much. And I was talking to my grandmother about it, and she was like, no, you need to, you know, watch it and see it through and experience, you know, what's going on behind the veil. You know what I mean? You need to know these things. So that's why I'm, you know, watching the show and reviewing it and just putting it out there, the truth, you know, from the book of my mind and opinion, to share with you, because I just feel like it needs to be exposed, you know. And I really, anyway, let me move on. I'll get to that. But anyway, so Pastor McClendon said, you know, we'll put a restraining order against her. You know, let's beef up security and everything. And I'm just like, pause. Really? So anyway, they go on to shoot him, you know, with the camera in his mansion and in his Bentley, and you know, like I said, he's looking like some sort of R&B star, you know, Genya fan or something. I don't know, you know, Pastor Genya fan. But anyway, so y'all already know about me, right? So we're back to Pastor Ron Gibson visiting in Compton, a man who had been shot at. You know, he was preaching the word to this young man named JR and several other men from the hood who walked up as they were talking, and he was all talking to them like Snoop Dogg language, you know, all like, you know, for shizzle, manizzle, badizzle, for jizzle. I need a translator. I need a hip hop translator right now. If anybody knows how to translate hip hop, call me. It's 734-707-7899, and you can come and we can do a segment together, and just kind of like how they do, you know, the sign language and stuff when I say something, because I know I'm gonna need a transponder and a translator and all of that for the rest of the season, dealing with this Pastor Ron, because he's speaking this, you know, different language that I'm not all together with knowing about. But anyway, he's speaking this language to him, getting down, you know, to the hood level and everything, and they cue the commercial, and I just exhale. I just fall out, because, you know, yes, cue the commercial. All I can say at this point during this commercial break is take the wheel. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it's just team too much. So anyway, we back from the commercial, and Dietrich Haddon comes out with his backup singers called League of Extraordinary Worshipers to perform, and he comes out in a skirt. Pause. Wait a minute, a skirt? Really? I mean, that's the agenda that they pushing now. It's like men can wear skirts now. It's okay for men to, you know, get in touch with their femininity side. You know, where men wear skirts at? I mean, where is that at? What is that for? He wearing a leather skirt, pleather, no doubt. But anyway, unpause. So he performed, and it was hyped, and it was exciting. You know, as it felt to me like a concert. You know, he was performing like a gospel artist and everything, you know, the gospel artist he started off as, you know. So anyway, then after Dietrich had performed for like 3 hours, Pastor Ron Gibson got up there and he brought up some one Crip and one Blood gang members, right, to get saved as like an altar call. And the next thing I know, I'm watching, you know, they giving their life over to Christ and everything. Pastor Ron setting it up, you know, winning souls for Jesus. Next thing you know, here come Pastor. Wait, let me get my breath. Y'all know how sometimes you gotta just kind of you that breath that you be saving, it escapes you, and you just kind of need to recharge. Okay, let me get my breath. Okay, Pastor Ron do an altar call. Bring the Crips and Bloods to Jesus. Here come all of a sudden Dietrich Haddon walked up to Pastor Ron, tapped him on the shoulder, on the back, and told him to hurry up. Hurry up. You got to speed it up. Now he was up there for 2 hours, okay, doing his dance thing, you know, want to be Michael Jackson self. And folks trying to bring folks to Jesus, and he tell them hurry up with a tap. You know, that was just, whew. Pastor Ron was like in shock. You know, he said it really bothered him that he did that. You know, he even tried to later on to speak to his wife, you know, about it, First Lady Yvette, saying that Dietrich Haddon, you know, but stayed up there on stage for 5 hours, you know, but when it come time for him to do the altar call and bring folks to Jesus, Dietrich only gave him literally 5 minutes and told him his time was up. You know, take the wheel, you know, type situation. That was just, it was bold. So anyway, his wife said, you know, honey, don't blow it up. You know, and she said in the sidebar interview that Pastor Ron was too dramatic. Okay, you know, between me and you guys, I think Pastor Ron's wife, she's going to be my favorite pastor wife on the show in this season. I predict that, because she's trying to, you know, WWJD, what would Jesus do, the situation before it gets out of hand. And I'm not mad at her for that, you know. And she said for him to go back to Dietrich and talk to Dietrich on a one-on-one first, which is what the word says to do, you know. And that's what I try to do myself when I have an alt with a brother, and you know, I do try to go to them. You know, it's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I do feel Pastor Ron too. You know, that was wrong of Dietrich to do that. Yes, Dietrich, and I know you guys are watching this. I have it on authority that you guys watch these reviews that we do on you. Yes, you do. So I am definitely saying to you, you was wrong, Dietrich. You should not have done that. You interrupting the flow and the spirit of God. So yes, you did team too much. So yeah, you're wrong. But anyway, Pastor Ron said that he would address Dietrich Haddon in the man cave. So anyway, y'all, just before they cut to the commercial, they showed a little bit of the mayhem and tomfoolery of it all that was coming up next. And all I could do was shake my head and say, take the wheel. You know, because oh my goodness, you could tell that when we got back from the commercial that it was going down. You know, with the foolishness, you know. And I just clenched up like that, and I said, oh man, you know. And I was typing and everything, and you know, taking notes so that I could do this review, and I just shook my head. You know, I said, they really are trying to make a fool out the church, you know. But it's not anything that the church wasn't already doing. They just put a camera in there. It's not like they're doing any special editing or anything. So I'm not going to blame, you know, the show per se. You know, they're just putting out there what's going on behind the veil already in these churches. So anyway, we're back from the commercial, and the pastors arrived to Pastor Ron's house, you know, which he calls the man cave. You know, he nicknamed it that. You know, he said that him and his wife moved out of there because the house actually grew too small for his wife's clothes. Okay. So anyway, moving on. Right away, Pastor McClendon, he's kind of rushing. He's coming in there with his little entourage. He got somebody holding his luggage for him, and a bodyguard, you know, like 2-3 people, you know, like he just, you know, in demand. He's just hot. You know, that deal. So he was already ready to go. He stated that he had somewhere to be, you know. So anyway, they began discussing how people accuse them of basically fleecing the flock. I wonder why. Mansion, Bentley, R&B look, lifestyle living. Pastor Ron talking about P. Diddy and Jay-Z. You know, they not the only ones that should be living, you know, like this. All with matches and rides. Excuse me, those are entertainers. Those are, you know, of the devil's children. You were supposed to be like Jesus. Jesus didn't have no Bentley. He didn't even ride around in a carriage. He rode around on them sandals. Okay, and worked them leg muscles is what he did. He lived humble. He even said that foxes have holes and birds have nests, but the Son of Man don't even have any way to lay his head and rest. You understand? So he was homeless. You know, he didn't even have a home. He wasn't staying at the Holiday Inn or nothing like that, Embassy Suites or nowhere. So don't come here, you know, with that. But anyway, they began to discuss that, and the question came up from Dietrich Haddon was, should we charge a fee for the gospel? You know, and Bishop McClendon went off, and he said that if a church don't have any money, so you could just come out with your musician. He said, Dietrich Haddon said that to Pastor McClendon. You know, if a church doesn't have any money, you could just come without your people, your entourage, you know. And Pastor McClendon said, if they don't want my musicians or my you know, my people that come with me, then they don't want me. And Dietrich Haddon, he all started sideline preaching to the choir, about accommodating small churches and how Jesus didn't have an entourage, and getting ready to start hooping with his voice, talking about, and when God was walking around, he didn't have an entourage. When you first started out, you didn't have an entourage. You was by yourself. That's what's wrong with the church today. He wrote and preached. Yeah, I'm like, Dietrich, shut up. If you with your Michael Jackson wannabe voice singing, beat biting, if you don't sit, okay, y'all, okay, yeah, he finna have my salvation on pause. Wait, anyway, he was playing it up for the cameras, both of them. I'm not on team nobody's side because they both was wrong. So they went to a commercial, and then after the commercial, Pastor McClendon called Dietrich Haddon basically ignorant. He said, you're not as intelligent as I thought you were, and that pushed Dietrich Haddon's button. He just went off, about needing, about that entourage issue that he hit Pastor McClendon about. I mean, it was just, it was ignorant. It was sad to see men of God behaving that way. I mean, high prestigious men of God, men that's in the, have large 4,000, 5,000 people that are following them. It was just ridiculous. We got to do better. So that ended the segment. That was the whole show. And ended up with Pastor McClendon and Dietrich Haddon getting in each other's faces. And Pastor McClendon was wrong because he got in Dietrich Haddon's face first. He stood up. And as a man, Dietrich Haddon, he felt challenged. He was already full of himself, and he wasn't going to be upstaged on the camera, I'm sure was his thought, one of his thoughts there. So he stood up, and they face to face, toe to toe. And then Pastor McClendon's entourage, bodyguard and assistant, came and swept him off, gone with the wind and everything, and he left. And he said, see, that's why I didn't want to do this show, and I'm just like, what, it was just a ball of foolishness. And what they have next for next week's segment is just even crazier. So I just the church is in a sad state. The Bible spoke about these, false teachers and preachers, and we just have to definitely be aware of what's going on and know the signs of these type of, charlatans. It's ridiculous. I definitely do not have a favorite pastor in the show thus far, and I'm going to continue to, do the reviews and watch and see how it plays out. But I definitely feel that it should be on air, I felt at first, but then, the truth is the light. Jesus, he does exposing, and perhaps somebody, some people will, come out from among them. It'll help somebody along the way, I'm sure. But anyway, thank you guys so much. That's the end of this review. I'll see you on the next review. Definitely like and comment and subscribe to my channel for more, because it's just going to get crazier. So you guys stay tuned. I love you, my family. Okay, you guys have a great and blessed and wonderful day. Truth Seeker, your sister, out. Bye.